What's up? It's your boy KC. How y'all doing? This is episode 9 of the show, coming to you from Orlando, Florida, which seems to be very, very hot today. I hate the heat down here. I come from New York where the seasons are regular. And speaking of Florida, if Florida drivers ain't the worst drivers I ever seen, I'm not a black guy. Seriously, these are the worst drivers I have ever seen in my entire life. And this is a guy who came from New York, the state of really bad drivers. Florida drivers either drive really slow, they drive too fast, they cut in front of you, they drive up under you. They don't read signs when they're driving. Like, when I go to work, you don't know how many people I see drive down one-way streets that say, do not go this way, do not enter, and get in car accidents and get mad, talking about, officer, did you see that, man? I'm like, yeah, you crashed into her. Man, oh, man, she messed up my car. I'm like, yeah, you drove down the wrong damn way. I'm like, what the hell are you doing going back there? Can't you read? You know how many people I see on the way to work that turn when it says no turn on red? There's a camera there watching you, and it flashes when you turn on red or when you go through the red light. They do it anyways. I mean, what is wrong with the people down here? Seriously, no wonder there's so many car crashes, yo. Slow people in general get on my nerves. I cannot stand slow people. Slow drivers, slow walkers, slow talkers. When you're in the line at the supermarket, you got this one person in front of you that has to take the item out of the basket, look at it. I just want to see how much it costs, then put it on the counter, and they got 100 things to do there. I just want to take the cart, turn it upside down, and dump every damn thing on there, ring it up, get them the hell out of here so I can get out of here. Slow drivers make me want to pull a Stone Cold Steve Austin and buy a monster truck and do what he did to the Ross car, run over the damn thing, because sometimes you be on a road that's like 45 miles per hour and people are going 25, 20, 30, and you're stuck behind this person. I'm like, oh my God, please move, please go. You beep at them. Please get the hell on so I could go home, or I can get to work, or I could get to wherever I need to go. It burns me up. At any rate, I also want to talk about something else. It's wrestling time. I want to talk about something that the young wrestling generation fans like to do that really irritates me, as well as a lot of older generation wrestling fans. They like to compare these new guys, these new generation of wrestlers, to the old guys that they've never even seen before, that they wasn't even there when these guys was out, and it's very, very irritating. You can't compare somebody like CM Punk, which is a good wrestler for his generation, but you can't compare him to guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Macho Man Randy Savage, because these guys, in my personal opinion, were so much better. Macho Man Randy Savage was a total package. I already talked about him. I don't need to go into that. But let's talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can't compare CM Punk to Stone Cold Steve Austin, because Stone Cold Steve Austin was one of the most popular wrestlers in the world during the 90s. During the Attitude Era, Austin carried that whole Attitude Era by himself. He was the one selling out shows. I'm talking about show after show after show after show after show. His merchandise outsold everybody's merchandise. Stone Cold was more popular than any wrestler in this generation, period. Even in his own generation of wrestling, he was more popular than those guys. Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Triple H, The Rock, Shawn Michaels. Well, he was out, but still, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, The Big Show. Come on, man. You can't compare CM Punk to Austin. You got people comparing Daniel Bryan to guys like Chris Benoit and Shawn Michaels. Really? Are you serious? There's no way he could out-wrestle Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels trained his ass. Come on, man. And Chris Benoit, I'm sorry. I know it's a controversial thing, but Chris Benoit was an excellent wrestler. Guys like him and Kurt Angle and Bret the Hitman Hart and Owen Hart and Dean Malenko all come from different cloths, man. These guys were technical wrestlers. They could wrestle circles around these guys these days. And I'm not trying to be biased or anything, because I'm an older generation fan, but the truth is the truth. And I know I have said things, similarities between Hulk Hogan and John Cena, because they are similar in some ways. But there is no way in hell that John Cena could ever be as popular as Hulk Hogan was. Hulk Hogan was the most popular wrestler of the 80s. People who didn't watch wrestling knew who Hulk Hogan was. He brought in more money to wrestling than any other wrestler, period. Hulk Hogan sold out more shows than any other wrestler, period. In the 80s, Bruno Sammartino, a guy that came in before that, the longest reigning world champion in wrestling history, he was selling out seats long before anybody else in the 70s, in the 60s. This guy was, as they say, the head of Mount Rushmore of wrestling, so to speak. These guys built wrestling so that these young cats could come in and have everything handed to them. And that's the one thing that sucks. I'm like, Roman Reigns is the best Samoan wrestler. No, the hell he's not. He's good for this generation, but you pin him up against somebody like Superfly Jimmy Snuka and see who would get their ass whooped. You pin him up against guys like the Wild Samoans, which his father is in the Wild Samoans. His father trained him, so you can't beat the teacher. Put it that way. And that really irritates me, man. None of these guys in this generation will ever be as great as the people in the Attitude Era, as great as the people in the Golden Era, as great as the people before that, because their crafts came along way before. As far as I'm concerned, these new guys are copying the old guys. Because where you think they're getting all these moves from? Eric Young, the elbow, Macho Man Randy Savage. The RKO came from it's me, it's DDP. That was his move, only modified. Come on, man. The DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts made that. Come on, man. Submission wrestling wouldn't even be famous if it wasn't for guys like Brett and Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko and Kurt Angle, and the list goes on. The high-flying ability comes from guys like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Macho Man Randy Savage. Even the guys that people don't even like to mention, like my favorite cruiserweight in WCW was Ultimo Dragon. But what about those guys like Juventud Guerrera? What about La Parka? Guys like who are doing that high-flying stuff before WWE even thought about it. Let's get real, man. You want to talk about the trash talking and being real? Stone Cold was doing that long before CM Punk was thought of. He was beating up the boss long before anybody thought about beating up their own bosses. Hulk Hogan was selling seats like crazy long before he outsold any guys in this generation. None of them could ever sell an arena like Hulk Hogan did. All you had to do was put Hulk Hogan's name on the card and it was guaranteed sold out. Stop comparing these new wrestlers who haven't even had quarter as much time in the wrestling business as these guys have had 20, 25, 30, 40 years in the business to make it what it was. These guys that put their blood, sweat, and tears in the sport so that these new spoiled kids could get everything handed to them. It's bullshit, man. It's just like the world of boxing. You can't compare Floyd Mayweather. I don't care about him at all. Everybody says that he's the best boxer of all time. I call bullshit 4 times over when people say that statement, because there's no way in hell that Floyd Mayweather was better than Mike Tyson in his early career. There's sure as hell no way he was better than Marvelous Marvin Hagler, than Tommy Hearns, than Sugar Ray Leonard. There's no way he's better than George Foreman, Roberto Duran, Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano, who retired undefeated. People seem to think that Floyd Mayweather's record, it's the first of its kind. My ass. There was no way. Rocky Marciano retired undefeated long before it was even thought of. Floyd Mayweather is not the greatest boxer of all time. You put him back in that generation back there, he would get his ass murked. He would get busted up by every boxer that comes through there. Problem is that Floyd Mayweather picks and he chooses the guys he wants to fight. He picks guys that he knows he can beat. Smart in theory, but a very cowardly move, man. You know what I'm saying? In the world of boxing, there's not that many boxers left. Not that many boxers out there that are considered to be contenders. But in the 90s world of boxing and 80s and 70s where you had to fight the best. You had to fight the best of the best. That's what I loved about boxing back then. In the 90s where you had Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, you had guys like Butterbean. You had guys that were out there to get the title. Back in the 80s with, like I said, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, James Toney, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. You had all these guys. My point is, it irritates the hell out of me when the new generation of kids compare the new generation of stuff to the old generation of stuff, which paved the way for these new kids now. And I'm not going to give too many examples, but music. I can't stand it when somebody says this person's the greatest rapper of all time. Oh, this person's the greatest singer. My ass. Just talking about singing alone. You hear guys like Chris Brown and Trey Songz, which they're okay, but you cannot say they're the greatest singers of all time. Back in the day when you had groups like the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Flamingos, the Isley Brothers, the Shy-Lights, the Stylistics, the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, the list goes on, the Jacksons, the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, whichever one you want to call them. These guys are 20 times better than any of these guys out here today. Just Michael Jackson alone. Just Michael Jackson. You name so many solo artists out there right now that are copying his style. Genuine, Usher, Chris Brown, Trey Songz. All them guys is copying their stuff. Copying Michael Jackson's junk. And they admit that junk. Because Michael Jackson was the greatest performer of all time. Basketball. I'm not much of a basketball fan. I don't know much, but I know enough to know that Michael Jordan was in a league of his own. When you compare guys like LeBron James to Michael Jordan, a guy who could play circles around him in his prime. You know what I'm saying? Come on. But I digress. I want to talk about the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I might catch a lot of heat for the things that I'm about to say, but I do not care. The Hall of Fame, I don't know what kind of cluster shit it is, but there are a lot of people that deserve to be in there. There are a lot of people that don't deserve to be in there, and there are a lot of people that should have been in there a long time ago, let alone before other people got in there. Guys like Sting, guys like The Ultimate Warrior, who should have been in years ago. Undertaker should have been in years ago, but Undertaker continued to wrestle. That's probably why they wouldn't put him in. But in my honest opinion, like I said, and wrestling fans are going to get pissed at me, and that's fine. But why is it that Eddie Guerrero, who deserves his spot, he deserves to be in there. I'm not saying he doesn't. But why is it that he got in there before Macho Man Randy Savage? I mean, it kind of seems ass backwards to me. In my personal opinion, Macho Man Randy Savage should have been in there in the class with Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan went in, Macho Man should have went in there. Guys like Sergeant Slaughter, which I guess, he deserves his spot. Nikolai Volkov got in before Macho Man Randy Savage. Got in there before Sting. Got in there before The Ultimate Warrior, before Undertaker? Are you serious? These guys did way more work in the world of wrestling than Koko Beware, which I don't really have nothing against the guy. But come on, let's get real. Jake the Snake was 10 times better than Koko Beware. 10 times better than Nikolai Volkov. So many guys that I feel should have been in there long before some of these other guys got in there. Edge, I like the guy. I like the dude, but why did he go in there before the Warrior? Why did he go in there before the Undertaker and those guys that I just named? Seriously, if this was my Hall of Fame, this is how I would set it up. You can only be in the Hall of Fame if you have 15 years plus. 15 years plus in the business, which means you have to be in wrestling 15 years and up. Also, the way that I would have it is only the wrestling fans from that generation that grew up in that era of wrestling with that wrestler and the wrestlers that worked with that wrestler can vote this guy in, can say, well, does he deserve to be in or not? Like Stone Cold, I know he's already in there. I'm just naming him. But the fans from the 90s should have been able to vote to see if Austin should have went in there. Hulk Hogan, fans from the 80s. Ultimate Warrior, fans from the 80s and early 90s. You get what I'm saying? Bruno Sammartino, people from the 70s, because they actually grew up with these people. Superstar Billy Graham, the 70s. Now, there are a little bit of exceptions like Sting because he wrestled from the 80s through the 90s and up to the millennium all the way up until now. And guys like Undertaker, who wrestled from 1990, even earlier than that, but I'm talking about when he became The Undertaker, from 1990 all the way up until now. Guys like Chris Jericho that wrestled from the 90s up. There's special exceptions because they actually were in a lot of generations. I would put people in the Hall of Fame that truly deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that really did something for the business. Carlos Colon really didn't do a damn thing for WWE at all. Period. He didn't do nothing in the world of wrestling except for his own promotion where he made himself the star. I don't consider that Hall of Fame material. Be mad if you want to be mad. But there are so many guys that I feel should have went in there first. The celebrity wing is just a pure joke. You know what I'm saying? Drew Carey does not need to be in there. Donald Trump does not need to be in there. If you're going to have a celebrity wing, how about having somebody like Cyndi Lauper in there? Yeah, you did right with Mr. T, because Mr. T was a big part of that. Let me explain that to the wrestling fans. They say Mr. T didn't do nothing. If it was not for Mr. T, the first three WrestleManias, would have not been popular in the mainstream audience. The people who watch Mr. T's movies and stuff like that and watch everything that was going on, they would not be as popular as they were if it was not for Mr. T. Cyndi Lauper also, because she lent a hand in that, and I don't understand why they didn't put her in. Because she was an important part of bringing rock and roll and wrestling together. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna have a celebrity wing, put those people in. Yeah, Mr. T's in. He loves his mama. They should have played Dear Mama when he was doing his thing. Lady, don't you know I love you, sweet lady? Cause Mr. T was up there. I just love my mama. Every time she changed my diapers, she got a point. Every time she fed me my bottle, she got a point. I just love my mama. Yeah, I love her to death. Yeah, okay, man. Mother's Day is going to be an all-out spending spree for this guy. He going to buy his mom a brand new house, brand new car, if his mom's still living. I don't know if she's still living or not, but geez, that guy loves his mom. I love my mother to death, but God, you talk about overdoing it. He was up there talking about his mom, which had nothing to do with wrestling. He's going into the Wrestling Hall of Fame and didn't say a damn thing about wrestling. What he should have said was, yeah, I was glad to help Hulk Hogan out back then. I pity the fool who tried to mess with me when I kicked Roddy Piper's ass. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. The fans say, oh, CM Punk's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Daniel Bryan's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Roman Reigns is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Half of these guys that you name might not even be in wrestling 5 years from now. They might say, you know what? I quit. I'm sick of this. I want to go do something else. They might not even be around to put in 10, 15, 20 years of wrestling to where you can be able to say, okay, now they're a deserving inductee. They need to be in the Hall of Fame. But don't say that they're going to be in there when they haven't even done anything yet. Yes, CM Punk has done some things, but I wouldn't consider him a future Hall of Famer. Not with the way that he's doing things. He walked away, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back anytime soon. So it is what it is. Give these guys like the Wyatts and the Shield, give these guys time to develop their careers, and maybe 10, 15 years from now, if they're still around, then put them in the Hall of Fame. If anybody deserves to go into the Hall of Fame, it would be The Rock for everything that he did for the wrestling business. This guy, like Austin, was a guy that the fans wanted to cheer. Even though he was a heel, the fans did his catchphrases because The Rock was a bad guy through and through when he first came out, and his feuds with Mick Foley and his feuds with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. But the reason why The Rock is not in the Hall of Fame, and you may call me crazy for saying this, but it's because of Triple H. Triple H does not want The Rock to go in the Hall of Fame before him because Triple H has always been jealous of The Rock. He has always been jealous of The Rock. Did you hear what I said? Let's go back to 1996. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, nobody gave a flying shit about this guy. This Connecticut blue blood gimmick that he was doing, even China was better than him then. She got more attention than he did. And here comes this kid, Rocky Maivia, who comes from a long line of great wrestlers. Rocky Johnson, Soul Man. High Chief Peter Maivia. And he was a great wrestler. Yeah, the Rocky Maivia gimmick stunk up the place. People didn't like it, but he was still better than Triple H. So when Vince McMahon was about to say, all right, we're going to let this kid go, Rocky Maivia I'm talking about, he said, give me a mic, and he became The Rock. And even though he was a heel, people still wanted to follow this guy. Meanwhile, you got Hunter Hearst Helmsley doing jack shit while The Rock is rising up through the ranks. Okay, then Triple H joins D-Generation X and he carries Shawn Michaels' bags. The Rock is a multi-time Intercontinental Champion. He goes on to become the WWF Champion, the youngest WWF Champion in history of his generation, and his feuds against Mick Foley, and Triple H is carrying Shawn Michaels' bags. The Rock goes on to become the People's Champion, the greatest wrestler that fans could ever say that he was. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say he wasn't. He's one of the best, but a lot of fans seem to feel that way. And Triple H is still carrying Shawn Michaels' bag. And then when Shawn Michaels got hurt in 1998, Triple H took over, and he couldn't outshine those guys because X-Pac and the Outlaws in China were coming into their own stuff, and Triple H got drowned out. Nobody gave a flying crap about Triple H. So then when they finally decided to give Triple H the title, he wasn't even popular then. When he was the champion, The Rock was still a better wrestler. The Rock was still more popular than he was, and he hated it. So when The Rock went away, Triple H is like, all right, I finally get my time to shine. And his reign of terror during 2002 and 2003 was horrible. I don't care what nobody says. When Triple H was the champion, he buried damn near every big name that you could come across. Every guy that was in a feud with Triple H did not come out any better. They were actually worse than when they got into the feud with Triple H. Kane, RVD, Goldberg, Booker T. All these guys. Goldberg, who should have won the title in the Elimination Chamber, they didn't do that. So when he finally did win it, nobody gave a shit. Booker T put a promo on Booker T talking about people like you don't deserve to be champions. You know, RVD, who should have won the belt against him to begin with, didn't do it. The Katie Vick angle, good God. So like I said, it just comes down to jealousy. But The Rock will go on there one day. It's inevitable. Video gamers, it's time for the video game portion of my show. Nintendo is not doing good when it comes to console sales. When it comes to the Wii U, they have currently lost $456 million because of the Wii U. In the past 12 months, they've only sold 2.72 million units. And this is in the past 12 months. When you compare it to systems like the PS4 that as of today have sold over 7 million units. The Xbox One was sold over 3 million units. The 3DS outsold everything, and this is as of December 2013. The 3DS sold 42.70 million units, I meant to say. The Vita only sold over 4 million. I still love my Vita, I don't care. But Nintendo is not doing good at all. And let me offer some advice, Nintendo. Stop rehashing the same bullshit over and over again. Just because you come out with a new console does not mean it needs to be flooded with Super Mario Brothers games and Mario Kart games and Pokemon games and Rayman games. Why don't you put some games out there that reach out to fighting fans? How about that reach out to RPG fans? And how about survival horror fans? Not just the little kid market, not just the little girly, cheesy, crappy stuff that you put out there to just dance in the Wii Fits. Why not put out something that grabs the other crowds of gamers that like that kind of stuff? Maybe you'll start to sell more. How about that? Because people are going to Sony and Xbox One because they have the games that they want. Shooting games, which get on my nerves, but still people love them. The fighting games, the RPG games, the survival horror games, even though the survival horror market is drying up because everybody's trying to turn everything into the next Call of Duty. I'm not going to get in that again. But Nintendo, you need to change your formula. I love Super Mario Brothers. I love Zelda. I like all that stuff. But stop flooding your systems with this stuff because it gets real boring after a while. Try something new, Mega Man. Try something new, Metroid. Try something new, Breath of Fire. How about something like that? Get Capcom to get on that. Be like, yo, we need a new Devil May Cry. We need this. We need that. How about putting Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil Remake on the Wii U? That would be awesome. How about Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes? If you do that, I'll buy it. But something needs to change, otherwise you guys are going to go under. If you did not have the 3DS, your asses would be 6 feet under. And that's a shame because Nintendo used to dominate the market with the Nintendo Entertainment System, with the Super Nintendo. When the 64 came out, when the Wii came out, when the GameCube came out, okay. But back in the day, they used to dominate. If I was you, I would go, Capcom? You remember me? It's Nintendo. I was just wondering if you could maybe give us a new Mega Man. Maybe give us a new Devil May Cry. Something. We're struggling here. We're really struggling. We need your help. We need you to make us dominant again. Give us a new Breath of Fire. Give us something. We haven't gotten anything from y'all since Resident Evil Revelations, and that was just a lazy ass port. It wasn't really an actual game. We've already had that on the 3DS and everybody seemed to like it the way it was then. But please Please just help us. Square Enix, y'all can help us too. How about giving us a Final Fantasy exclusively for this system? How about a new Chrono series? How about something like that? How about maybe a new Tomb Raider for us? Konami, you could help us too. How about a new Metal Gear? How about a new Castlevania for us? Maybe even a new Contra. That would help us. But seriously, Nintendo, something's got to change. Something's got to give. You guys are dominating the handheld market, but that's very easy when there's only one competitor. There's nobody else. Something's got to change. Do something. On to another thing, I want to talk about video game designers. Now, I've made videos ripping into these guys for not making the video games that we want to make. And why aren't you making this game? Why aren't you making that game? But let's look at it from these guys' side. For once, let's look at it from the video game side. You have too many spoiled, evil, annoying video gamers that make it very, very difficult for video game designers. These guys who really go through and they try to make a good game as good as they can possibly make it. I'm not talking about that bullshit rehash stuff with the Street Fighter games and stuff like that. I'm talking about guys that start from scratch and go from the ground up to make a game that they feel the audience will like. And what do they get for that? Oh man, the faces don't even look nothing like. Let's use WWE 2K14 for example. Now I know I've said wrestling games are getting out of hand, but 2K14 is awesome. I love that game. But you always get people, oh, the guys don't look nothing like the real guys. Their character models are messed up. That's not the way they do their entrance. That's not the way they do their moves. It's such an insult that you got Eddie Guerrero with the long hair and driving the car. Who the hell cares? I mean, that's really, really annoying. These guys are doing the best that they can to make it as realistic as they possibly can make it. And you always got these nitpickers that always complain about how something looks. Who gives a shit about graphics? Nintendo was great because the games were awesome. Some of them. Some of them were awesome. Some of them really were shitty. They really were bad. But do you think the people from Nintendo's time are going to be like, oh, Castlevania sucks because it doesn't look good? They had fun playing the damn game. Tetris was nothing but dropping blocks on top of each other. It didn't have awesome graphics like these days do, like in these days, but the game was fun to play. Not for me, because I hate playing games where I have to think too hard. You know what I'm saying? But it's ridiculous. You make it very hard for video game designers to make games. I kind of see why they won't make a sequel to Castlevania Symphony of the Night or a remake of Resident Evil 2 because people would bitch a lot. They would complain too much about stuff. I can see it now. If they did a Castlevania Symphony of the Night sequel, oh my god, what they do to Alucard? He don't look right. Oh, if they did Resident Evil Claire, that doesn't look like Claire. That's not what happened in the original one. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the hell up. If these guys are doing what you asked them to do, if these guys go in there and they say, the fans want a new Mortal Kombat. Okay, let's make a new Mortal Kombat from the ground up. They're starting from nothing and making it into something. At least fans appreciate it that these guys are actually listening to you and going to make a game that you want them to make. So the hell what about resolution? Who the hell cares about if the graphics ain't perfect? All graphics are is so you can see what you're looking at. That's a can of soda on the ground. That's awesome. Who gives a shit? Pick up and play the game and have fun. That's the whole point of playing video games, is to have fun. Damn, you guys are so damn irritating. I go on YouTube and I watch these comments. Some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. A game automatically sucks just because a piece of hair of the Ultimate Warrior was out of place. So the whole game sucks. Forget about how good it looks. Forget about how these guys actually put some of the greatest wrestlers of all time in WWE history in this one game. 30 years of WrestleMania. They got everybody in there and it sucks because Hulk Hogan, the Hulkamania letters on his shirt is out of place. Who cares? I see why video game designers is like, the hell with it. Why are we gonna make this when the fans, all they gonna do is complain and whine about it not looking as good as they want it to look? If you want a game to look great, take your ass to school, get a degree in graphics designing, and make your own damn video game and see how easy it is to do that. Hello, anime fans. Yeah, you know you like that new sexy voice. No, I'm just playing. I did get a chance to watch Glass Fleet, and to tell you the truth, I really could not get into it. The storyline just seemed like it was lacking. It was really, really boring and bland. Yeah, there were a lot of fighting scenes, but it didn't grab me like Monster did. It didn't grab me like Tactics and Knowing and Witchblade and Black Lagoon. Those were all awesome animes. I gotta give this anime a C+. I mean, I'm gonna be fair about it. It did have a lot of great scenes, and then it's just really boring. I never thought I would ever say that about an anime. The anime pick of the week is Gunslinger Girls, where it's about these girls that are cyborgs that are trained assassins that work for a special agency that targets people and kills them. Awesome concept, isn't it? I don't see people all over that one, but I'm going to rewatch this anime. I'm going to tell you what I like about it. I'm going to tell you what I don't like about it, and I'll give it a grade next week or the next time I have a show. I want to talk about Ninja Scroll. The series, not the movie. The movie was awesome. The series was good, and they never finished it. You get to episode 11, and then it stops. There's no end. You don't know what happened. I'm just trying to wonder what happened to that anime. Why did they not finish it? Was it money issues? Did it flop? I don't know what the deal was, but I enjoyed it, and I want to see some more. That Devil May Cry only had 12 episodes. They need to get some more out there. How about telling the story between him and his brother Virgil? Come to think of it, there are a lot of animes that I feel deserve second seasons or third seasons to be exact, and I just named two: Ninja Scroll the series and Devil May Cry. How about Hellsing Ultimate? That was only 5 episodes long. Yeah, they were an hour long, but there were only 5 episodes. I would like to see more. How about bringing the 3rd season of Black Lagoon over to America, because it's only in Japanese and I could watch that. It doesn't bother me, but I would like to see that over here. How about bringing some of the Dragon Ball OVA movies over here? There are a lot of them that I would like to see, like the Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. Why don't you bring that over here and let the Funimation guys do their thing and bring it out? Because I would love to see Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. Goku as a radish farmer goes back to fighting, and you got Trunks and you got all these people in there who destroy this monster by combining all their beams together to destroy this monster. If that is not an awesome ending to a Dragon Ball movie, I don't know what is. But get it over here. This is episode 9 of the show. This is your boy KC. I'll check y'all out later. Peace.